This is Dave Keltner. Listen and read along. And today, coming to you from Waxhaw, North Carolina. Today, I'm going to demonstrate how I arrive at my highlighted text, my reading movies. First thing I do is I have to have an audio and a text file. Now today we're going to look at how I arrive at that. I'm at the learningenglish.voanews.com, and they have a story, Interest in Horse Riding Grows in China. So let me go down here, and in that they have text, which is here, and they have an audio, which is here. I've already downloaded the text, and I've also downloaded the audio. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Here's the text. As you can see, it's standard text. It has periods, it has commas, it has dates. First thing I have to do is eliminate all grammar or all punctuation, all of it. You can have none. What happens is if you do, it can stop in the middle of the analysis process, and you'll wind up with half of your data, which is not what you want. So I have already written a routine which strips. So I do that, and now you can see my routine has stripped all punctuation. That's all it does. Okay. Now I change that. Now I have to save that as a text file. It's currently a doc file. So I save that as a text file. Now let's go into Adobe. Now we're in Adobe. I've already opened it. I've already downloaded the audio file. Get rid of that. And I've already downloaded the audio file. So here's the audio file. And here's my, if I click out of there, you see my metadata box, which is where I'm going to store all of my time codes. It's not highlighted. So when I click on this, which is nothing more than my audio file, when I click on it, then an Analyze button comes up. Now I click on the Analyze button, come over here, I go to the Add, I go to where I've stored it, which is here, I go here, the text, and I find it as it is. I click there, and you will see all of the text is right here. No punctuation, just the text. So I say to it that the script text matches. Even if the script text does not match totally, say that it matches. It'll take care of itself, and you'll see in the next process how we handle that. So then I click OK, and it brings up this additional screen, and you say OK. You don't have to click anything else. You don't need to identify the speakers. You do want to make sure speech is clicked. You say OK, and then it brings up the encoder. And as you see over here, this yellow box starts to come across, and it tells you how long. It generally does not take very long. I have 32 gig of memory on this machine. I bought it 2 years ago. So it's fairly state-of-the-art. Okay, and then you'll get a check. I'm done with the encoder, so I close it. And you can see now, whereas I had blank here before, now here's all my text in this box. If I click this button right here, yeah, let me undock this. Pull up my metadata. Okay, now let me click it.
Across Asia, the increase in sales of high-priced goods and services has been partly fueled by the rise.
Okay, so what we have at this point is you now have your highlighted text. It's within the audio file. Now the mission is to extract it from the audio file and actually put it into your HTML code. So we're going to close Premiere. Now Premiere is closed. Let me close this browser, and now we're going to go find our audio file, which is here. Oops, not here. And it's over here. Okay, here's my audio file. And you can see, well, you can't see the time, but this is the one we used right here. So I open this, and I'm going to open it in Soundbooth. It now contains the metadata. It has increased by generally a couple of hundred bytes. And I'm going to go into Soundbooth, which is another Adobe product no longer on the market. I use this to export the metadata in an XML file. What you will discover is that Premiere will export the data in an XMP file. I could not figure out how to make the XMP file work for me. While it's got the time codes, they are not in ASCII form. It takes an algorithm to get them out, and what I found was that when I used that algorithm, I did not get exact codes. I go here, so I've already imported my code. I go here, I export my speech analysis. Then I'm going to dump it into my as it is. And I dump it. I made a folder, XML file. I make 4 folders: an audio, a text, a video, and an XML. So I'm going to dump it into the XML file and save it. Now I'm done with Soundbooth. That's all Soundbooth does, is export XML. Okay? Now I go in here, I go back to my XML folder, and there it is. My China horse racing gaining popularity file. I'm going to take that and put it into Excel. I've made Excel my default import software package for XML. So I click on this, and it brings me up to Excel, and this is what it looks like. This is what your metadata looks like. It has the data, the duration, and the confidence. The data is the word, the duration is the amount of time, and the confidence is how confident they actually are that that word has the proper duration and the proper time. Over here, one of the fields is time. So this says that at 0.31, the word across shows up, and it lasts for 0.48. That's all it says is when you say the word across, it takes you almost half a second. That's all. And you'll see it clearer after I've deleted everything except I want this to be in a format that is readable. So I wrote a routine that eliminates duration and confidence, takes this time code, puts it in a column, and takes the duration and puts it in a column, and takes the word, puts it in a column. So I do that by doing this, by clicking. Now, what I have is the word across, which is the first word. It starts at 0.31, and it lasts a half a second. The next word, Asia, starts at 0.78 and lasts half a second. Slightly longer half a second. The word the starts at 1.629 and lasts 0.18. In general, you will discover that the word the and in and of, single syllable words last somewhere around the default of 0.2 seconds. So I have incorporated that in my routines. I wrote some routines into Excel to take care of those kinds of problems. As you can see, I don't have any punctuation here. But if you take this code right here and you run it back in and you create your HTML, you will discover that it will work just the way it is. You'll just have no punctuation. Now the way I get to my punctuation is I go back to my original program, which I converted into text. I then come down here and I undo everything I've done to get to the text. So now I'm back to my original text, my original document. So I have, as you can see, I have some numbers, and I have commas and apostrophes. When you go into Excel, some things just don't work right. For instance, if you use double quotes, sometimes it'll cause your Excel to go amok. So I get rid of it. I use a holder, and you'll see that in a second. So I've got all this, and I want to run through and make sure that all my numbers are numbers. I don't want the word 5. I want the number 5. So, we go through here and we see, like, here I have 2 billion. So what I do to note that is I put an exclamation point, then I actually make the number 2 billion. I get rid of the word billion. And I come down here. I don't want the word 1 here. Is 1 of the youngest, so I want to write the word 1 there. They spent thousands of dollars. That's fine. But I want it to be thousands. Thousands on shipping. Such story is, people that are reading it, they don't read it the way they hear it. And then it goes through last 4. This is all on one page, which is nice. Here I have a comma. Commas get deleted within Excel. I'm not an expert Excel guy, so if this all seems funny to you, it probably is. But this is just how I do it. Now I want to compare. I want all this text to go into my XML, to go into my Excel, and to be compared to my XML. So I have a routine that does that. So I cut it. I want this all to be one column, and there it is. Now I have one column. You can see all these double-sided where there's 2 words. That needs a space after it. 1949. 1949 has 360. So, you run through here. Now this 2, 3, that's where the quotes were. Apostrophes are notated with a 1, 2. I'll probably have one of those. Let's see, there's 2, 3. And there's my $2 billion. You'll see how that plays out. And then I have 4,000 stables. I have the 4 words here. State of the art. I need blanks in there because my XML is going to have blanks. And then I have 150, 150. And I have 15-year-old daughter, 15-year-old. And let's see. I go through here, and there's thousands of dollars. And there's another quote. Here's an apostrophe right here. Notated by 1 greater than 2. W apostrophe V. And then I come through here, and I've got this, and that's all there is. Now I select all that, and I copy it. Then I come over here to my Excel, and I paste it. All right, so now here's this column is my punctuated column. It's the version I got out of the original text. This is my unpunctuated. This is all XML, and these are still just time codes and the amount of time that the word appears is highlighted. Now I compare. So I compare the words. So what I do is I go down, I look at, you ignore all the punctuation. So you compare high priced, high and priced. Because see, when Premiere says the word, it says high priced, and then it puts 2 time codes out. But I want one word, high priced, so I get rid of the word priced and just leave high. Now I come down here and I compare Okay, I'm looking sports, sports, permitted, permitted, Chinese, Chinese, racing, racing, riding, riding. As long as they match, I'm fine. 20. Okay, so I've missed here. 25 is actually two words. 25. As you can see, horse and 5 don't match. Horse matches with this horse. So what I have to do is I have to send this down so that it matches this word. So horse, horse, racing, racing. I almost never change these time codes. Almost never, of course. And then I have 300, which once again I didn't pick up, so I insert and it comes down. And then I have 2 billion, equestrian. See, I ignore. So it says 2 billion seller. I ignore that word. As long as this word matches, and if this is a number, I don't really care. I'm more interested in just the time codes. So I have horses, and I have state of the art, and I have a medical center, and then I have 150. So I have the word trainer is down here. So I have to knock this down 2 so that it matches. Everything in this column must match here. Very seldom will this column have to match here. I'm only interested in this column matching. So I come down in Beijing. I got a 15-year-old daughter. International, international. Get bigger. I got the dealings, Chinese, minute, already, Snodgrass, increased, those. This is a pretty good one. Usually get about 97% accuracy. Keeps, daughter, market, and that's it. So, as you can see, there's more words down here. That's because more things were said on the audio that have nothing to do with what I'm doing. They give a little quiz on how well you understood it, that kind of thing. So I want to get rid of all that stuff. It's no good to me. Now, I don't have a routine that actually counts the blanks, so I have to type it in, make sure I got them all. So I have nothing in here that's blank. I don't have any blank time codes. Now I wrote a routine that goes through and fills in time codes automatically, but I don't like it. Now what I do is I have to get rid of all of my blanks, otherwise they'll show up strange. My HTML, so I write so I number everything. Once again, I said I'm not an expert Excel guy, so stop laughing. And here's the, now I highlight this. Now, I want to make sure that my time codes, which are here, match my numbers, which are here, which match these numbers. I want these all to remain in sequence. If I accidentally type in a time code, which I didn't have to do here, but sometimes you'll find that, for instance, if I discovered this time code was missing, which happens sometimes, now I have to figure out how many seconds this word is. Now, interest, that's a 3-syllable word. I know, just from experience, that roughly each syllable lasts 0.2 tenths of a second. So in this case, I would go through and I'd say, okay, so this starts at 246.98. That's about 247. And then I know it's going to last 0.6 of a second. So I type in 0.5 or a 0.6. And then I would bring this up at 247.6.2. But I would be running over this, so now I discover I should make this a 0.5 and make this a 247.3. Okay. Now these two numbers here, this number plus this number, can be no greater than this number, ever. Otherwise, your entire routine will go amok. It'll make you crazy. So I've got this. So I run through a series of sorts. I don't have to on this one because I don't have any problems. I do want to get rid of all these blanks. So what I do is I simply sort it. I sort it in my data. I sort it, and that's column C. And I say OK, and it sorts. It brings all my blanks down here. I get rid of all those blanks. I then resort it, so it's all in nice order based on column B, which is the way I originally numbered the words. And so now I have my entire thing. So now I'm done with that. Now I take it into my next routine, which is, all right. So now I go into another Excel spreadsheet I have, which is made just for the time codes in this. Now, the time codes in VOA Learning English are slightly slower by about 15% than regular speaking people. So here I have, so now I import my spreadsheet. First I got to delete this. Now I'm going to import my spreadsheet. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to bring it over here and put it in here, just like it was in the spreadsheet. Column B is column B, column C is column C. I then have a routine that goes through and okay, so my first 20 always must match. Now I can't remember why, but they do. First 20 always have to match. If they don't match, I get an error. So there I am. Now the first 20 all match. Now I go here to my settings, and I have a routine in Excel which highlights all the differences within the text. So you'll see that in a second. Okay, I have a red one. So I have the word, I have the numbers 1949, period. But over here I only have the word 19. That's because I cut out 49. Now I don't highlight differences in periods or commas, that kind of thing. Also on this, everywhere there's a period, I put a page break. Now that's because I do everything in sentence format. So in my texting, every time you hit a sentence, I want it to give you a break, an entire space, a space between sentences. So it doesn't look like a regular text. You'll see that too. So here I have some more red. These reds are okay. If there's just single reds, they're not a problem. And you come down and you're done. Now, you were interested in how do I arrive at my HTML code. I have a spreadsheet there where I imported the first one I did by hand, the HTML. So after I did that, I didn't want to do it again. Made me crazy. So I brought it all in and I put it in this spreadsheet. I then wrote a routine which simply transfers this data right here, once I've verified that it's good, into this spreadsheet. And you'll see it here in a second. Like, see, here's Vietnam moves from poverty, which is totally different. I hit add page breaks. Okay, now I'm back to my Chinese horse story. Across Asia, the increase in sales of high-speed goods and services has been partly fueled by. This is all the code. This is the HTML code exactly as I'm going to cut and paste it into my HTML5 page. Okay, so each one of these, after every period there's a break, and this gives it that break. This gives it a new page. So I go through here. I know that I can get about 30 words on a page because I put it up at about 400%, the font size. So about 30 words on a page. So this is 88. So you add 30 is 118. Okay, so I'm not gonna get rid of this page break. But this one, see, these can be together because that's 30 words. This one has to be an orphan because I don't have any place to put it. And then I got this, like this. And I got this, like this. And I got this. And sometimes you can get three on there. I got that. I got that. I got that. You can see this number here simply tells when the highlighted text should move on to the next page. Otherwise, it'll just sit there and look at you on the last page. So, and I got here and here and here. And here, and then that's the end. So I'll try to make sure that I'm Mario Ritter doesn't get left stranded all by himself out there. Okay, so now here's all of my code is right here. Every piece of code I need in the body. All right, this is part 2. Up to this point, we've gone through, we've analyzed, we've gone and created the metadata in Adobe Premiere. We've exported it using Adobe Soundbooth, which created it for us, an XML file, which we then imported into Excel. In Excel, we compared that to the original text. And after a series of processes, we got to here, which contains all of the HTML code for the body of the HTML page. So now we're going to copy this all of this, which contains to here. So I'm going to copy all of this just as it is. I'm going to go into my HTML page, which is here, which all I generally do is copy a previous HTML page, change the audio, and change the body. I don't do anything else. I don't start from scratch. I imagine there are other ways to do it, but this is the way that works simplest for me, and I like simple. So now I delete all these pages, all that data, and then I paste this in. So there it is. It's pasted in. Now what do I have at that point? Well, right now, what I have is a working page. So I'll save this, and I'll go load it up, and hopefully it'll work. So here it is. Now I have this start on delete, start do not delete, because that gives me a slight pause at the beginning. Now I click on this. This is my start button.
Across Asia, the increase in sales of high-priced goods and services has been partly fueled.
Now I haven't done any of the other work. I haven't gotten rid of I haven't added my punctuation back, my apostrophes, my quotes, gotten rid of my exclamation points. So I'm going to do that now. But you can see the time codes are, at least in this one, about 99.9% accurate. So let's go in, and I'll get rid of my exclamation points. Add back in my apostrophes. Add back in my quotes, which is my 2 greater than 3. Okay. Now, what I discovered a couple things. For reasons I can't remember, somehow I wound up with, because in my original one, in Excel, I had, after every period, I had put a page break. And then when I ran it through the final Excel process, it put a span at the end after every word. So these page break spans create a highlight that I didn't like. So I reverse those back. So I take the span and I reverse it just for after the periods. And then also after the highlighted periods. And I do believe that's it. I still have my font. I'll leave the fonts in for now so I can show it to you. Now I save it. Now I go back. Oops. Got to get rid of that select process. So I'll save it. Now I'll go into, I'll restart. I click.
Asia, the increase in sales of high-priced goods and services has been partly fueled by the rise of China's middle class. Among activities enjoyed by some wealthy.
Okay, so he skipped a word. If you look here, now if you click on these words, see, the text said among the activities. He said among activities. So you have to fix that. So you go back in. You find, in this page, in this case, it's on page 2, which is nice. But among, and then here's the. But he doesn't say the word the. So you got to get rid of that. You got to get rid of that whole line. So now I just have among activities. So I save it. I go back and I see if the time codes look right. So I refresh. I go down to that page. I generally start the page before, at the end. So then I start it.
Among activities enjoyed by some wealthy Chinese is the ownership of horses. The quality of life tied to horses and horse ownership has become a new sign of success among a small but growing group of people in China. Sports involving horses have not always been permitted in China. Former Chinese leader Mao Zedong banned horse racing in 19.
Okay, so this looked a little fast to me, so I'm going to click. If I just click right here,
Former Chinese leader Mao Zedong banned horse racing in 19. Former Chinese leader.
anytime I move this cursor around, it'll stop. Now you can see 1949 is highlighted in red because in the XML it was spelled out 1949, and then I condensed it all to be the year 1949 because in my world that is easier to read than the words 1949. And when I want to get rid of that, I simply go up here. We'll just pretend I went all the way to the end. And then I go to edit. I find a replace. I do a quick replace. I get rid of my fonts, which are all in red. Replace that with a blank. And I go up here, get rid of my font color, which is there. I replace it. It's all blank. Those two numbers have to be the same. For font and font color, if one says 15, the other needs to say 15. I get rid of that. Now I save this. Now I go back in. I refresh. I go down 30 seconds. And I look, and there's my 1949. It's no longer red.